Hey, 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 what's good, fam? It's Tuesdays with Tawana. Good to be in the building on today. Happy Tuesday. Happy March 5th. Happy Pisces season. Happy living. Happy joy, joy. Welcome to Tuesdays with Tawana. I am Dr. Tad, your host and your curator for Tuesdays with Tawana, where we build community one womanist episode at a time every week, Tuesday, 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. This is where we come to gather, to build community, to chop it up, to have fun, to insert joy into our narrative as a natural stance, not something that is forced or only. Joy is not something that just appears when things are all perfect. Joy is something that is constant. Joy is something that is innate. Joy is something that is so intricately. Okay, I'm just going to stop. I'm having problems with my words today. So it is inextricably bound to who we are and how we show up in this world. So for today, we're going to go over discuss a few things. And as you can see in the title, I'm in a mood today. I'm in a mood. It's a lot going on. And as you can see, my kafaya is on. Free Palestine. Ceasefire, 6 weeks. Yeah, that's a start, but we need a permanent ceasefire. We need to stop the occupation or end the occupation. We need to humanize our siblings in Palestine, in Tigray, in Sudan, in Congo, and in America. And we can do all things. We don't have to pick one and ignore the other. One thing that has resonated with me over the last, say, couple of weeks or so, to be heard is to be seen. So when you hear me, you acknowledge me. You acknowledge my voice. You acknowledge my agency. You acknowledge my stance, my presence, my just my humanity. When you hear, you are seen. So we need to hear the cries of our people. We need to hear the blood of our beloveds who have been murdered and killed through senseless bombings and shootings, and we need to hear their blood cry from the ground, and we need to acknowledge them and to be able to step up and step out and step forward and speak truth to power, to be activists, to be abolitionists, to just downright care. How about we just have some feelings? How about we just care for a moment? Hey, I see my brother has joined us. Hey, Larry, good to see you. And my dear beloved friend who is, I don't know, across the globe somewhere. Let us know where you are, Devin. You are. Thank you for joining live. I truly appreciate it. It means a lot. So yeah, so it's a lot going on, right? It's we're dealing with, again, another blow to women's rights and women's agency through IVF, and the people who are making these laws and making these decisions don't even know what they're doing. Like, one person was like, yeah, IVF, let's stop it. Because this is, this is considered a fetus and we're going to stop it. And then realize, like, you stopping it is contrary to what you are trying to say, and then had to flip it. And anyway, that's not the premise of our gathering. Bahrain, yes. Reverend Foster is in Bahrain. So, oh, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you are safe and well and taking care of you. Miss you dearly, and it just brings me joy to see that you are here. You are here. Take care of you, beloved. So, so a few PSAs. Let me do some public service announcements. One, we're in Women's History Month, and last month was Black History Month. And what I normally do on TikTok, I do a Dr. Tad daily-ish freebie. And if you're not following me on TikTok, feel free to go to Dr. Tad and you will find me. And what I encourage beloveds to do, it was always a charge or always a takeaway for that moment. And to use Black History Month, not just for the month and the moment, but building and creating a habit of honoring ourselves, of centering ourselves, of having that Sankofa moment of looking back and bringing forward that which gives us life. So I have my feelings about Black History Month, and it's needed because of the situation and circumstances that we are in here in America, just like we need Women's History Month in particular for the purposes of this vodcast/podcast. We are centering Black women for Black Women History Month. Boom, that part. So with that, at the opening of this vodcast, or some of you who will listen as a podcast, I opened with a picture of Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth is someone who I truly resonate with. Her story, her journey, her activism, her preaching prowess, her intelligentsia, her passion and love for community, her fight, her courage, all of those things. Being from New York, yep, you know how we do. We represent Harlem. I'm showing off my Harlem jacket. So Sojourner Truth resonates with me, and whenever I'm feeling, because racial battle fatigue is real. So whenever I'm having that moment, I'll tap back into some beloveds and the life that they have lived or are that they are living right now. Like Sojourner Truth. I often quote and embody Audre Lorde's teachings. Angela Davis and Angela Davis's journey, and just combating the status quo and speaking truth to power. And although some people may or may not agree with her tenets and her beliefs, she beautifully exemplifies what it is to have different values, and I'm using air quotes because different from what? Different from Western ideology that often oppresses, often marginalizes, often is capitalist, and often wants this white supremacy nation, right? So anyway, someone like Angela Davis, who is able to stand firm on what she believes in and who she is and how she shows up in the world. So for Women's History Month, one of my daily-ish freebies was to challenge beloveds, whoever you are, however you identify in this world, man, woman, gender expansive, femme, non-binary, find someone that you are energetically connected to. They can be deceased or they can be alive and well. Just pick someone, or a few if you want, but pick one. Hey, Pammy, good to see you. Happy Tuesday. So pick one person and do some reading on that person. Of course, actual and factual information. I mean, Google is nice. And try to find a research article or an article from a reputable Black organization or media or online publication that may talk about this person, their life, their history, what they have gone through, what they have done, what they have contributed to this world, even in the midst of, being enslaved or being raped or family being killed or being, it's just so many adverse things that have happened, and yet and still was able to still do the things that they wanted to add value to Black beloveds in particular. So Sojourner Truth is one of those people for me, because it was during a time, not only was she born enslaved in New York, but then thereafter, once free, she then fought for humanity, for Black human rights, for Black women to preach, for Black women's agency, and just so many things, even in the midst of a time when we weren't even considered human beings, right? So that is very empowering and very encouraging, because if Sojourner Truth was able to do it then we in community are able to do that now. And one of the quotes that I want to lift up is, if the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, these women together, these women, femmes, and gender expansive Black beloveds together ought to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again. And now they is asking us to do it, and the men better let them. The white supremacist, the racist, the sexist, the patriarchal people who are in power, air quotes, and control. Make room. It does not mean that we are going to carry and fix the problems that you have created, white people. It means that we are going to take a stance where we refuse to die at the hands of systemic ills, mind, body, and soul, and we are charging you to fix it. So, full stop. That's my PSA for Women's History Month. I won't go any further because then it'll be the whole show. I also want to share, I'm going to share my screen because I'm also going to post this on my page and all social media pages as well. But here is a beloved, Sam, who is 17 years old. And let me know in the chat if you cannot see my screen. This is the first time that I have shared my screen live on this platform. So if you can't see my screen, it's okay, because I'm going to give you a summary of this GoFundMe page. And I want you to see Sam. I want you to send love and light her way right now. I want us to take a deep breath of what she is experiencing, and then in our deep breath out, just send her energy of healing and strength to her and her family. Sam, who was doing something great for community by giving blood, because that's how this beautiful human being chooses to show up in the world, gave blood, and later on found out that she has a very rare form of muscle cancer. And Sam had to undergo treatment immediately. She was in the hospital, I believe, for, if not a month, over a month. She was just able to go home. Her story is here. Last night there was a prayer vigil for Sam, and it was in New York, and it was standing room only. I was grateful that they streamed it as well, and I was grateful to be able to experience it. So she was a sports person. She was healthy. And after she gave blood, and there was something wrong, and she learned that she had cancer and her disease is very advanced. It's at stage 4. So right now they are doing a GoFundMe page to help with the family because the parents have not left her side. And of course that means I don't know what type of jobs they have and, how income is coming in, but it is a lot to endure. It's a lot to endure with co-pays, with reaching deductibles. I don't know any of that. All I know is that this family is in need and it is going to take community to support this family while they are going through this very trying time. One thing I wanted to highlight is when Sam learned of her diagnosis, she reflected on her experience and told her parents, I donated blood to save a life, and by doing so, may have saved my own. I donated blood to save a life, and by doing so, may have saved my own. If that's not powerful, I don't. So I will post the GoFundMe link. I will post the GoFundMe link. So her name is Sam, and we love you, Sam, and we want you well. So we are sending so much love and light, so many prayers of healing and strength and covering and protection, making sure that every single doctor, nurse, medical staff, the janitorial team, any and everybody that comes into your space comes with a beautiful, powerful, encouraging, positive, healing energy for you and for your family. And we're here for you. So thank y'all for just taking this moment and co-creating this moment with me to honor Sam and her family. So shifting gears. Thank you, Devin. Yeah, say her name. Say her name. Say her name. Whew. 17 years old. So this sort of leads us into my topic for today, which really embodies where I am and how frustrated I am with what's going on in the world and how we are moving so closer to this proximity of whiteness that it's sickening. It's sickening. It is sickening. So our theme for today is, yeah, who the fuck are you to judge me? And we just find that there is this level of judgment that is happening in I'm only speaking of our community. I can't even go into white people's judgment and the craziness that they are spewing about number 45, and I just can't. So I am going to focus on Black beloveds right now. And, we have an opportunity to approach things that we don't know or don't understand or don't wholeheartedly grasp with a sense of curiosity. And I learned of this by reading Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed, where we have an opportunity to approach things with this epistemological curiosity. That means I am curious about how you know what you know. I am curious about what you know. I am curious about what is feeding you this information for you to make decisions, for you to know what you know. Because when you know what you know, then it also speaks and feeds into your actions moving forward. That's why oftentimes when missteps happen, it is because we were not informed in making those decisions and find out later that the outcomes or the consequences don't necessarily work according to what we have desired because we have made ill-informed decisions. So instead of approaching things as in a curious way, we then tend to look through our own lens, our own thoughts, our own experiences, and then judge or impart or assume that other people should be thinking, behaving, or knowing in the same manner. And it just does not work that way. We are all, I was watching RuPaul on The View this morning, and RuPaul used this analogy like if you're in a room with a group of people, there's really only one entity present. And then we show up differently as that one entity. Whatever you believe spiritually, that higher power, that source, that love that is bringing us together, that is the one main entity that is in the room. And then we show up and we embody that to then become the human being that we are, spiritual beings in this human body. So who are we then to judge someone else by saying, well, why did the family agree to do this documentary about Wendy Williams? Wendy wouldn't have wanted this. How do you know what Wendy wants? Instead, we should be asking the question why or how this is going to add value to our community. How is this adding value to the family? The family has a right to tell their story. The family felt that it was cathartic, and listening to interviews, these are not my words, the family felt that this was healing and also a cry for help because this guardianship, whatever it's called, the system is broken. It is flawed. And not knowing where your family member is, not knowing, who's caring for your family with all the right intentions or all best intentions, I should say. So they came out publicly and are now getting the support and the help that they need, and not only for their family, but also bringing awareness to dementia and aphasia and how drugs and alcohol can then exacerbate these detrimental diseases. And how we have an opportunity to be informed about the choices we make, because unfortunately in this world, we live in a right now space, not thinking about what the outcomes might be later on down the line. But I can do what I can do now to ensure that this outcome may not happen. Or this, sometimes we have no control over certain diagnoses. Hence, moi, metastatic breast cancer. Didn't ask for it. There are people out here who are healthy and strong and they work out and they live in environments that are not, surrounded by factories and they have fresh food and they can get organic food and they still get cancer. They still are diagnosed with cancer. So there are some things that we don't have any control over, and we do have control over how we are going to respond. So when I say, who the fuck are you to judge me? It means that when you look at me with a sense of curiosity. Yes, Louise, thank you for joining today. It's good to see you. We focusing on Black Lives, beloved. That's right. You better say that. The documentary was very enlightening. It was enlightening to the point where there are people out here that will take advantage of you, that do not have your best interests at heart as much as they try to show and proclaim that they have your best interests at heart, but they are cashing that check and they're not doing what they could do based on their informed behaviors, their self-centeredness or their ignorance or their weakness to just go along with the status quo. If Wendy wants a drink, I'm going to give her a drink because I believe that she can make right decisions, but she's not in her right mind. No disrespect. It's a fact. She has been diagnosed with alcohol-induced dementia. And then people want to come in and judge, but until you go through that and know it for yourself, you don't know what this family is going through when the cameras are off. And that's the messed up this is really messed up about our society, because things that we see on social media, we take it as a holistic truth. There are some that speak the truth in their social media or on their social media platforms. And then there are some that will come before you in front, and then behind the scenes, it's a totally different story. But either way, who am I to judge? I can talk about it. I can ask questions. I may have an opinion and say, well, based on my experience, X, Y, and Z. But who am I to say, you were wrong, or you should have done this, or you could have done that, because I am the subject matter expert on this thing and I know it all, and I don't believe that you should have made this decision, and that was stupid, or that was self-centered, or they only doing it for money. That is not helpful. And how did we become this way? Because we are so indoctrinated into white culture, into white individualism, into white either or, into white self-centeredness, that we don't even take the time to think before we speak, to respond instead of reacting, because there is a difference between responding and reacting. Reacting is being in the moment, in the feelings, and reacting to what's going on right now without processing, without thinking, without listening to your body, without listening to spirit, without sitting in it for a moment. Responding is very intentional, very meticulous, very thoughtful, it ensures that I show up in a way that is still going to honor me. Reacting, I may curse you out, but that's not how I want to be. I'd rather be true to who I am and sit with this for a moment, take a deep breath, whether it takes a moment or a few days. I don't know. That's how you respond and how you are, choosing to respond, and choosing to respond in a manner that is life-giving, that is helpful, that is causing healing. So if I decide to respond in a way that I got to walk away and love you from a distance, I can do that, versus reacting and cursing you out. And then I'm carrying you in my mind, and you're renting space in my brain, in my mind, in my spirit for free. So when we talk about judgment, we are talking about judgment versus curiosity. Judgment is making a decision on a preconceived notion that you have about a certain person, place, or thing. Curiosity is asking the question, well, how did we get here? How do you know what you know? Why did you make that decision? And asking in a way, not in a judgmental way, but in a curious way. Like, talk to me, beloved. How did we get here? Why did you make this decision? What is it about you that caused you to make that decision, or to stay in that situation, or to do the thing that you did? And then it all opens up this dialogue where it encourages the person who has made the decision or is making the decision to think and know that they are seen, know that they are held. They're held in a safe container. They're held in a safe space to be able to reflect, to be able to think, to be able to pray, to be able to meditate, to be able to wonder, to be able to explore, to be able to know about themselves. And I'll give you this example in closing. So, being single is not easy, especially in this day and age. And what I realized, and I pretty much knew this, but didn't put it into action, is that we know that the universe doesn't recognize positive and negatives, yes or no. It is what it is. So I need to be able to affirm what it is that I desire, what it is that I bring to the table, what it is that I want to attract, and what it is that not only do I want to attract to me, but what I want to be attractive to. Right? So I have to be able to be firm on that. Not what I don't want, because if I say what I don't want, then I am going to attract the very thing that I don't want. But if I say what it is that it is, like this, I am a beautiful woman who loves community, who is an activist, who is a mother and a grandmother and a preacher and a storyteller and a survivor and a thriver. And what I desire is someone to match that energy. You don't have to match my energy by being a cancer survivor, but you can match my energy by being caring, by seeing me, by being my person, by hearing me, by honoring me, by even in our disagreements that we still have this positive energy going back and forth. Judgment does not allow for positive energy. Judgment does not allow for a healthy dialogue. Judgment does not allow for healthy relationships. Judgment does not allow for us to grow in community. Judgment does not allow for us to be able to impart wisdom, impart love, and impart support, impart grace, impart mercy, and impart prayers and impart positive energy. Judgment shuts it all down because I'm calling somebody big back because a big back can't attract a vice president. This is what was said about Risa Tisa. Why does her size have to do anything to do with her being a human being and wanting to be loved? That is judgment. When you are causing harm, your intentions, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So you think you had good intentions because you need to feel good and retract and feel good about yourself. But if you claim to be a healer and you're big on mental health and all this other stuff, and you have the nerve to spew this type of hate to someone who is telling their story in the midst of their pain so it can be cathartic, so they can release, so that spirit, God, source can pour back in the healing energy that she or anybody else or he might need, who are you to interfere with that with your judgment? Who the fuck are you to judge me? It doesn't feel good. It doesn't build community. It doesn't honor one as a human being. It doesn't honor the fact that we have free will and we make decisions. And when we make decisions, they may not be the best decisions. And if we do make mistakes, missteps, and mishaps, we have an opportunity to learn from them so that we don't repeat those same mistakes again, which is why white people want to erase our history, because they don't want to atone for what they did. And they are so fearful that we are going to retaliate. And I'm not stunting you, white people. What I am doing, though, I want my people to live and not die at the hands of systemic ills. So at this point, I don't really care what you think, but don't let it interfere with me and my well-being and my living and my access and my power and my divinity and my community. Don't be intentional about judging me because of the color of my skin, because then it stops right there. Then that means that you are, controlling, you are individualistic, you are thinking about yourself, you are misinformed, you are making up things as you go along to make you feel good. That does not help us in our community. And when Black beloveds do it, it pisses me off even more because it moves us closer to whiteness, which is antithetical to who we are. So who the fuck are you to judge me? We should be entering into a space of curiosity so that we can foster a moment of dignity and love and acknowledgement. Even if I don't agree, we can agree to disagree and still go to dinner and still love each other. We can love each other by walking away and still being able to honor that divine space, because what you're doing, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't fall in alignment with where I am. But that only is a result when I can actually have a conversation with you out of curiosity. That I can say, you know what? Yeah, this is not for me. Godspeed, much love, no hate in my heart. I can love you from a distance. Judgment will then have us doing this all of the time. And it's an energy that illness feeds off of. It's an energy that breeds mental illness. It's an energy that causes harm to our well-being. So instead of judging me, why do I tell my story? Why do I tell my business? Why do I do this podcast? Who does she think she is? Just ask. If you really want to know, just ask. And that will change the tenor of the whole conversation, and it'll shift the atmosphere, because that's how powerful we are. Judgment then places this negative energy and causes dissension, causes dehumanization, causes marginalization, oppression, body shaming, taking away our rights, taking away our power, taking away our agency, trying to silence us and take our voice. That's what judgment does. So, beloved, as we go through, we just left out of Black History Month. We're into Black Women's History Month. Let us think about, before we look at somebody, can we see and judge? Can we see and acknowledge them first? And then have a sense of curiosity. What's happening? How did you get here? Even if you don't get a chance to ask that question of that person, because it could be a stranger in the street. Why am I feeling fearful? What is happening, and what can I do to shift the narrative? What can I do to send love and light to that beloved who is houseless? What can I do to send love and light to those who are unjustly incarcerated? What can I do to send love and light to Black mamas who are struggling to have healthy babies and to live after childbirth? What can I do to be curious enough to care? Beloveds, we're a little over time. This is Dr. Tad with Tuesdays with Tawana, every Tuesday at 2 o'clock. You can join us live anytime you put something in the comments. We definitely insert your voice into this narrative. Later on, you'll be able to find this broadcast on all of your podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. It'll be on Instagram. It will be on YouTube shortly. So, yeah. Let us be curious, because who are you to judge me? Who are you? Who are you? It only breeds harm, self-harm in your judgment. And I don't want you to harm yourself. I want to love you, and I want you to love me. with an unconditional positive regard. That's it for me. I'm Dr. Tad. Thank you for joining. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for being who you are. I see you. I hear you. I acknowledge you. I honor you just for the human being that you are. And we can take it from there. Much love, much love, beloveds. I'm out. Later.